Aloha Kohala. It is 3:01 on October 11, 2023. You're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala, and you're listening to Intuitives Talk Story with myself, EILA Allgood, and
Michal Anna.
Yeah, and here we are. It seems like we were just here, and that was over a month ago.
Yeah, Miss EILA, you've been off on your travels.
I have been, and I got, can you hear now?
Yes.
And I got
myself, though.
You can't hear yourself? Yeah. I don't know why.
Okay.
We'll figure that out along the way. But I wanted to say that I got to listen to all of the interview that you did with Alvida.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Really. I mean, it was so fun to be so far away and be hearing you talk to her. And you were kind of interviewing her, which was, it's not really our regular thing. So it was different. And I found you were really on point with questions and helping her kind of get in a flow, because you and I do this, but somebody stepping in.
Yeah, it was really fun to interview her. And not only was it fun, but I realized kind of in hindsight, we didn't get into as much of, because it's Intuitive Talk Story, she's an iridologist, not an iridologist, but does live blood cell analysis and does some other things. And we didn't really get into the real physical qualities of that and the real nitty gritty or any of the details on any of that. Instead, it kind of went vibrational. It went into the energetics. It went into more of what the soul of all those things are. So it was a really fun discussion and really interesting and enlightening. And then we did a Maui fires video with Michal Melendez.
Yes.
Which was really informative.
Michelle was just here with
awesome.
With Lydia.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, check that out, too, if you haven't already. Today, it's really fun to have you back after your travels.
It's fun to be back, yes.
And kind of growth and learning and out there in the world and seeing where different people are in the world, and kind of what we were percolating on a minute ago as we kind of came into the space here was thinking about this time we're in and how we're all really in really different experiences of this time. Like, it's like a giant hike that we're all on, and we're kind of all at different spots on the hike. Some of us at the mountain, some of us on the waterfall, some of us at the lake. We're all different places in that journey, upward, homeward, spiraling, however you want to think of that. And we talk a lot about moving forward and energetics and tools and kind of this ascension time and this time of moving into higher frequencies. So there are those that are really activated on that path. And of course, they're resonating with everything we're saying and as we talk, and are really doing the tools and really moving into greater fields of unity. Whereas, and there's different levels of that. So we kind of wanted to touch on different places in the journey. And they're not hierarchical. Let's just say that now.
Right.
They're really all like just locations in the journey. So we're all unified. We walk from a foundation of a unified field, which means hierarchy we throw out the door. So anything, we're not dealing with good and bad, evil and this. We throw duality out the door, because duality doesn't mean unity.
That's the old way.
That's the old way.
Yeah.
Is this dualistic system.
Yep.
And so maybe we'll jump from that of just this, we're getting rid of this 2-part system, and we're really embodying a 3-part system. And if I've touched on this before, but if you think of this 2-part, that's we swing back and forth. It's always got to be this or that or this or that.
Yeah.
But in order, we birth into this 2-part system, people say the Vesica Pisces or the Vesica Pisces, the 2 interlocking circles, the infinity kind of thing, that you birth into that, like geometry, through the womb, right? Water. And then you go the fire of duality, which is this life. The 3-dimensional life is the fire of duality, where there's pain, a lot of pain, honestly, right? It's trauma, it's pain, it has a lot of stuff there, which is what we've all been experiencing. And then we birth out of that fire through water of ourselves, embodying ourselves to birth into a unified field, that 3rd circle. So that's kind of the base of what all this is about, is moving into a higher dimensional frequency where we operate and breathe from this unified field and operate as individuals and as communities from that field.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking about there's a lot of resistance out in the world around this happening, and that's why we're seeing some kind of horrific news events that have been going on. war and tragedy, and it's kind of that response to we're getting very close to being in this higher vibrational frequency, and the light, and then there's the resistors that are pushing back, and it's just part of the process.
Yeah. So there's like, like you're saying, there's those that are really on the path, and there's those that don't even know the path's going on.
They don't even know there is a path.
They don't even want to, and they might not want to know, and
right.
that's totally okay. Right. There's that group of people. There's people who are just really activating in the negative and actually enjoying that path. And and it is people enjoying that path, because there is a negative ego path that people choose. And and then there's those that are coming out of deep negative ego or deep negative programming, and maybe from a long time. Those of, if you've been programming for a long time, kind of get into galactic stuff, but this has been going on millions of years. There's been a lot happening, and so we're coming out of a lot and all of us are at different soul experiences of that. Right. But some have been experiencing it for quite some time, so that programming is harder to flush out. So once you come out of the negative programs, then you actually start doing the wound work, right? So that actually begins the journey through the chakra system. Yay, now we're walking through the chakras. So some people are just beginning that first, second, third chakra wound work, which we talk a lot about. This is where all that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable. This is where our wounds really sit. So then there's those who are already, been doing that work a while. You're peeling through the end of your wound and really getting into moving into the heart. And then there's those that have owned that, and they're in their high heart. They're already navigating that, and they're learning more about cooperative work, unified fields, and how to manage our energy at a really high level and use more tools. So there's varied degrees of this, right? So in general, I think number one is love everybody where they're at.
Yeah, and also there's varying degrees and varying degrees of awareness about it. Somebody may actually be pretty far along the path, but maybe they're not even aware that of what's going on. They're just following step by step and doing the work and peeling the layers and healing. And so we're all at different levels of awareness about ourselves and about what's going on in the world. And one of the things that came up for me being away, oh my gosh, I encountered the COVID fear and was amongst a group of people who some were very fearful because somebody got COVID and others didn't care. I was in the I don't care phase. I'm in the everything's fine. It isn't an issue. And loving the people that were in fear, because by doing that, by accepting and giving them love, they were healing traumas around, whether it was just about COVID or about other things. That's their business. But to see that, to be part of a community where that was happening moment by moment, and somebody's wearing a mask, and then 15 minutes later they're not wearing the mask because they don't know whether they're supposed to or they're not, and they're trying to tune into themselves, but they're also influenced by what has been told to them. So that was powerful, and that was after being in Denver for 8 days, and I went to an energy enhancement system session for 2 hours, which you want to say something? Yeah,
before you can move on to the next thing. I'm like, oh, wait. All right. So, I love what you're saying about that. I just wanted to kind of reflect that, I was talking with a client who's really empathic, and they tend to take on different people's energies when they're with different people. Yeah. So holding their own energy and remembering, like, this is me, this is what I do, I'm this, instead of like floating into their realities is a really difficult task for that person. Yeah. So what you were just saying kind of made me think about that. Holding your own energy in the midst of other energies and just being love. Like, you kind of made it sound nonchalant, but I'm like, wait, that's the whole game. Like, that's the whole game.
That was the whole game.
That's the whole game on this whole planet, is to hold your own energy and just be love. Like, don't be, swayed by Joe's bad mood, Susie Q freaking out, so-and-so in anxiety. You aren't you're not joining
No, and
them
I just, for me, like you say, as an empath, I feel a lot of that stuff, so I just got the heck away from anywhere that was vibrating too much. It's like, oh no, nope, I'm not going out there, because I get it. I accept that's where these people are, but I can't be near that.
And that's really important, that you're honoring what you need. Whereas another person might be really like myself. I often go walk into those places to go plant seeds or do something.
Right.
And so we have different paths in that. And so it's really important to honor that we're not the same. None of us are.
Right.
So you have to honor what's my needs and what do I feel called to do, because our gifts are different. What I'm experiencing is different. We're all here to having a different soul experience for our own selves.
Yeah.
And we've all made different agreements. So no one's the same. And that's really so important to just honor and really get, because as we peel the layers and you get through your deeper programming, the game gets a little trickier and it becomes very minute thought patterns. Are these even my own thoughts? Is this even
right?
And this person, everyone is you. So everything coming at you is a reflection of something you're either still operating in or still fielding. Mm-hmm. And so they all are tests.
It was
so you were in a big test.
I was in a big test. And it was very kind of cool because I was also kind of stepping back and observing me in this. And I'm like, wow, you've come a long way, because at the beginning of all that, I was afraid. I wasn't afraid of COVID. I was afraid of people's reactions to my not being afraid of COVID.
Right.
You know,
afraid of owning your power in that, and
owning my power, meaning
just being yourself.
I just felt it wasn't going to get me. It wasn't. That wasn't my reality.
Yeah, following your own
and so
heart.
Being in this group environment, it was kind of fun. In a sadistic sort of way, it was kind of fun to be able to say, okay, well, look at this. How interesting, the group's splitting. These people are really afraid. Okay, have compassion for them because they're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
And just stay true to yourself and send them love. And the leader went that direction too, so that helped. Send the people who are afraid love and be there for yourself in love and focus on the love.
And I think, the love is where it's at. From my experience, my game, I should say, has been a lot of surrender. It's been surrender. It's really love everything. Love whatever's in front of you. If we can love what's in front of us and not want to change it or want it to be different, but just love wherever a person is or whatever circumstance, love it and embrace where it's even hard. To me, the path is really about embracing when you resist, because that's where the real work is. It's easy to talk about embracing when you feel good. Yeah. But when you're triggered, that's when you have to actually do it. So that's the real juicy part. So no matter where you are on the path, in order to move into more harmony, it's face your resistance. Move through anywhere that you feel resistance. When you don't want to go is when you should go, and unless, you're tired, if you're like, I don't feel like going, that feeling, that's when you want to let me let go and just choose love. Can I choose love in this moment is really where you want to ask yourself. Mm-hmm. And what can I do to get myself to choose love? If it's sing a song, that's why I talk about making ditties. Yeah. Whatever you need to switch your brain into a space where you can shift. Gratitude. So this gets into some of the tools. Gratitude is like number one, I think, and breathing. Mm-hmm. So giving thanks and praise, which is one of my favorite things to say. Thanks and praise. It just takes me straight to source. Thanks and praise. I mean, I am so grateful just to be breathing. Just to have that opportunity to have to deal with whatever that was. I'm here. I'm alive. To be here, alive, dealing with anything is thanks and praise. Yeah. So thank you for just being here. I'm thankful to be able to deal with this. That's my number one go-to. Just give thanks for whatever I'm meeting, because it's teaching me something. It's an opportunity. It's a test, like we just talked about. Yeah. It's something I get to meet on my my little journey. My movie. Yeah. I'm in my movie. I'm in my video game home. And I'm picking up my pieces, and I know I'm going to battle some dragons, and there's going to be things I got to get. It's going to be dark caverns I got to walk through. So you're on the journey. So that's what I love about knowing you're on the journey, is because then you're not surprised when you come upon a bangle of thieves or a pack of dogs. You're going to, at some point. It's less of a reaction and more of I guess this is what's happening. This is what's happening now. Okay. So I'm not reacting to it. I'm just
interacting with it and deciding who am I and where do I want to be in it. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I also find, and definitely on this journey that I just was, I got to get outside. I need to go take a walk. Even if it's like 50 feet and just walk in circles. Like even if I can't go that far because of whatever, just getting out and being outside, I don't care what the weather is doing, and breathing in that air and connecting with the earth. With either my foot's on the ground or I'm touching a tree, I'm looking at the sky. It's so grounding.
And I want to emphasize this one.
Yeah.
Grounding and putting your bare feet. We live in Hawaii, so we're
pretty
spoiled.
fortunate.
We're really
yeah.
fortunate. I walk barefoot most of my day, so
Yeah.
I get to be barefoot
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
But a lot of people don't. So if it's something you're not doing all the time, then you want to, and it has to be a conscious effort, then make sure you make that conscious effort at least 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, because it actually changes you. And I wanted to tell you, actually, this is super cool. I was mulching out a whole super big area, like it's a massive pile. A girl in 2 buckets can change the world. And so I was working barefoot all day, like, you know, and it's just like bam, bam, bam. I worked all beautifully all day, like no pain at the end, just like gliding. I felt like I was gliding.
Yeah.
The earth was, I didn't realize exactly then until the next day when I threw on my slippers real quick and then I started to work again. And I started feeling some pain like immediately. And I went, oh, and I threw my slippers off and I'm like, oh, I don't want those slippers. And I just started working again and immediately pain was gone. And it was like the earth was literally powering me.
Yeah.
And I was just receiving the energy and it was just flowing through me. We were working together and we were just gliding through the work. It just felt like real effortless, because we want to staying connected to the earth. And you know, like I work in Guinea a lot, and so we're at our school and different places we've been having things be built, and they send us a lot of videos and they're all barefoot working all the time. I mean, building big stuff.
Well, that's another physical tool, is to be barefoot outside or to be able to physically touch the trees or the plants. I just got I have a grounding mat that I put at the foot of the bed, and you plug it into the ground of your house, and it grounds you. And I just got a grounding mat for behind the cash register at my store. So I'm standing there. If I'm standing there for half an hour, I'm standing barefoot, and I'm grounding. And there's a wire that goes to the ground, not the electrical, but you know there's 3 plug. The bottom plug is a ground, so it grounds. So if your plug is grounded, you become grounded.
Okay, so we have some. So just to be organized out there, because it helps you, right? So first, gratitude, breath, and grounding. And those are things you can do without any, electronics. And then, of course, we always talk about meditation. So that is hugely in there, using our tools, energy tools. But we're not just going to add that to the list. So meditation and your use of energy tools.
You can put meditation kind of / yoga, because yoga incorporates meditation and pranayama and
anything like walking, and then you get into moving in general, movement of all kinds, dance,
slow, fast,
all
medium.
of it is a meditation. All of it moves energy. All of it unlocks things. I definitely unlocked my body through dancing and pushing myself through dance. I unlocked wounding through dance. I unlocked as I moved through that place in my body and opened it up with my breath, and dealt with myself, and I can't do that, no, I don't feel good enough, and I'm, I'm like, I'm a piece of crap, but I did all that and unlocked it, So, but moving your body and breathing and sweat, you got to put that on the list. Sweat, you have to sweat.
I've also been talking to a couple of people about the whole at the end of your shower. That's me. That's okay. At the end of your shower, you turn it on cold, and there's talk of people taking ice baths. Well, I don't really have that, but I've been turning the water on cold, and there's something that shocks your system in a positive way.
Yes, well, my sweetie only takes, like, a lot of time would only take cold showers. Yeah, and when we're in Guinea, we only take cold showers. Yeah, and it is different. It's good for your body. It keeps your skin young. And when you do the heat first and then you do the cold, you lock in the heat. So sometimes like here you can get super hot because like you lock in all that heat inside you.
Right.
So if you just take the cold shower, you won't get that like steaming feeling inside.
Yeah.
You know,
like you're cooking.
Like you're cooking in there. Like I'm already sweating again, which happens when you seal it in, which is really great though if you're in the cold weather.
Yes.
You want to take like a hot and then seal it with the cold. The other thing you're doing with the cold is, and see, hot is like an opening. If you think of it like your pores, you open your pores with hot water, right? So you don't want to. The reason why is that you're opening your energy, you're opening your skin. So you're using the cold water to close it, to seal it, to seal the energy, to seal the skin, to seal the pores, so they tighten and they seal again. Otherwise, they're just open, and now debris and stuff's just flowing into your skin.
Yeah.
See, so again, remembering that your skin is the largest organ in your body. So everything you put on your skin, another physical thing, is stop putting anything chemical on your skin, period. Use only organic substances on your body. If you can, that's really because all that is going into your body, which is creating, you know, can create, you know, harm.
Issues,
Or,
yeah.
It can be just, you know, not good.
I pretty much keep coconut oil at home all the time.
Coconut
Organic
oil,
coconut oil. It's very reasonably priced. You can cook it.
You can eat it.
You can eat it, and you can rub it on your skin.
It's awesome. There's a lot of different.
I just used your stuff on my skin
body
today.
butter. You can visit Kohala Grown.
Yes, they have your body butter, which is
Silk
really
body
lovely.
butter.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, so as you were talking about dance, it takes me to music, to be mindful of the music we listen to. And I've been finding more frequency music that helps one's vibration go up. And you can find that on YouTube. And we were talking about the light language. There's some of that on YouTube too. And I always say, listen to it if it resonates, if you feel positive, then keep listening to it. What might work for me might not work for Michal or somebody else. So, yeah.
Listen to whatever works for you. And there's definitely a lot of frequency music on YouTube. Definitely, if you want to experience some of that kind of frequency, maybe even some light language in live. We have a band that's playing on Sunday. Funye will be playing at the Blue Dragon. So that's actually real conscious. We're doing conscious music.
That's cool.
And it's really fun.
Yeah.
And I'm really having a wonderful time singing and expanding kind of the spiritual work and my performing arts work that I've been doing forever. It's kind of been like I've been doing 2 tracks of work for 25 years or so. And so it's kind of like merges. It's another form of this greater merging
blending,
the spiritual, energetic work with performance and art. And I really look forward to expanding that and within myself and with our community greater because it's so fun. And so
it's really meaningful sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're co-creating with the universe and with your bandmates. Everyone's creating
and with
together.
all of you, come
and with
down
anyone
and
who's out there
enjoy.
dancing or just listening and taking it in and feeling the vibe.
Yes, we're called Funye, F-A-N-Y-E. And yeah, it's super fun to just come together no matter where or whom with music and dance and ohana, and to come together and just sing, give thanks, be in your bliss, dance around in all forms. And, the forms of praise. There's other forms of thanks and praise, right? When we get into our heart and we just really allow ourselves to let go. And letting go and surrendering is ultimately what those frequency tools are helping you do, because they're, in order to live in those vibrational frequencies, 528, these frequencies we're talking about, that's really like the frequency of love and higher, which means we're no longer, if I'm living in that frequency, that means I'm no longer operating in wound, right? So these frequencies are to help one release the densities of the wounding. So for me, the quickest way is forgiveness and surrender. Forgive oneself, forgive anyone else, and surrender, let go, let God. Realize this whole thing is an illusion. If you hold on to anything here, it literally slips away. You can have everything you want as long as you don't need it.
Yeah. And notice when you're in resistance. I know I get kind of snippy or snitty or whatever. And more and more I'm catching myself before I open my mouth and say something I wish I didn't say.
For me, the breath helps. Like taking a deep breath.
Yeah.
Like while I'm hearing the person where I want to say something, I just take a breath. I breathe into myself and like push it down, like breathe and just feel into what they're saying more. And I'm learning to be more patient in my communication all the time. And it's
also feeling what's behind, sometimes we speak words, but what's behind that? And when if someone's speaking and you're like, oh, what are they saying? If you can take that breath and go within and get into your own intuitive place, you might find out what they're saying isn't what they're feeling or what they're intending. So that's something that I do. I kind of look at what's really going on here.
Oh boy, well then you kind of get it like at a flash of different things coming of like, well, God, that gets into the programming depending on what side of that you're on. If you're with somebody that is actually saying something and you're more awake in that, or maybe you've healed you're feeling pretty unified and
in that area,
that moment,
sure.
in that area, and someone else feels more wounded in that area.
Yeah,
you might see, because usually if someone is really strong in something and you're like you're kind of reflective, meaning like, it's like someone like you, or they're in the same profession, or they look like you, or they have some sort of like they're both around the same age, or we're both girls that are around the same age. We tend to like the mind will tend to, when it's in the lower framework, it will tend to compare.
Right.
And do like, oh, well, they're like this. So your shiny light of feeling super confident or feeling really embodied will bring up immediately someone else's insecurity. It will actually come up for them because you're so confident.
And that's what you're seeing is that.
So you're seeing exactly
programmed reaction.
You're seeing the programmed reaction.
Yeah.
So if you're the one on the side that's feeling confident, your job always is back to what you said in the beginning. Just love everybody where they are. Be the love, and be yourself.
Yeah, and be true to you.
Be loving.
Right.
Smile. Be loving. Be kind. And if anyone, a lot of times, if someone is in that kind of program, this happened to me the other day with a family member, where literally, it becomes, well, gosh, they try to pull me into their drama.
Yeah.
And make me frustrated. You're frustrated. Well, you're frustrated. I'm actually not frustrated. I'm not feeling frustrated.
Yeah, that's not my experience.
That's not actually my experience. But and your program would like it to be my experience, because that would then justify your experience. See,
right?
Because the program wants to be justified, and so if you love it, it has nothing. It's looking to get a justification for separation. So and here's the cool part is that, as from like myself, my job with her in that moment is to be the love. I could fall off and join her in that and react and join her and go like, what are you talking? I could go like that and go all snippy.
Yeah.
But instead, I didn't. I went to, I'm happy to listen to you. I calmed it. She had nothing. The program had nothing to work with.
Yes.
You
didn't feed it.
I didn't feed it.
Yeah.
I met it in zero.
Starved it.
I did. And so it couldn't do anything other than either walk away or own itself, or, it just it fizzles. If you don't give it any energy, it has nowhere to go. And
right.
that, now if you're on the other side of that, your job is to realize you're in a program. So then your job is to actually be able to, if you can catch it in the moment, great, but often they don't. You won't be able to because they're hard, especially if you're just starting on that, or if it's really deep. So, but after you maybe ran away from the situation, or maybe you got mad and yelled, or maybe you said things you didn't like to say, or maybe you cried, or whatever reaction took place after that, the goal is then to get into a place where you can breathe, ground, choose some tools and go, what is this really about? Why am I really feeling this way? Because the truth is, for most of us, almost always, what you're experiencing right in front of you is not what you're reacting to. They're just playing out a deeper reflection or something. It's hitting something. It's reflecting something that you have within the self. So that's a really key point, and kind of one of the tricky ones to get. Kind of comes with an attachment and being able to separate the movie in front of you from what you're really experiencing. So you get like, wow, it's easier when it's like a stranger, like a boss you just met or something. You're like, why am I feeling so angry at this boss of mine? Because she's trying to tell me to make copies. I just met her. So that one's easier to see. That's obviously my problem, right? I'm projecting something, or I'm feeling something about authority. It probably has something to do with my father or my mother, right? So I have to actually go to the source of that problem. So it's seeing that I'm dealing with something in myself is always our key out. Always taking responsibility. What is really going on is my responsibility. I'm always in my own movie. The entire movie is reflecting my own stuff. If I'm still experiencing, that nasty lady, yelling at me, then how am I being so nasty?
Yeah. Looking at your part in the movie.
What's my part? Yeah.
Yeah. As you were talking, just to touch back on my COVID drama that happened, there was a woman who kept saying, oh my God, I hope I don't get it. I hope I don't get it. I hope I don't get it. And then someone said, well, why don't you take a test so that you can, sleep tonight? So she looked at the test and she didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'll help you with the test. I know how to do the tests. It's not brain surgery, right? So I take everything out and I tell her, you got to do this with this and this with that and put that in there. And I even hold a little cup and she puts it in and I pour it in the little thing like a pregnancy test. You pour it in this little thing. And 15 minutes go by and she has COVID. And people are looking at me because I touched all her stuff. I'm like, I'm fine. But she flipped. She's like, all of a sudden now she confirmed her worst fear by taking the test.
Well, that reminds me.
It was such an observation in, as we keep saying what we don't want, we attract it.
Bring it in.
And then if you're going to go as far as to, in this case, test for it, and then it's going to confirm that, without that test, she would have just gone to bed that night and probably slept really well and been feeling better the next day. Like, she wound up on a plane 2 days later anyway. So it just caused, I saw how it caused so much stress for some people. And I just had so much compassion for them. It's like, oh, you poor thing. Don't stress about it. You're going to be okay. And everybody was fine who had it. It was like a cold.
Well, yeah, because that gets into a whole other subject. I don't really believe those tests work. Those tests for COVID, they're supposed to be, that gets into a whole other thing.
But it's just this whole, it's a reality that I'm not part of.
Yeah,
but I'm observing.
Yeah. And
it is out there, and it was interesting.
And that's what she's buying into, so she's creating it.
Sure.
It was like there was an episode that I watched very briefly. A friend of mine was watching The Wheel of Time, which I watched. It's like got a lot of interesting things I hear from a friend, but it's kind of dark.
Yeah.
You have to kind of weave in through it and like see the truth. But I watched just like 20 minutes, and the 20-minute section I watched was kind of like this person weaving them through different realities and having to not like get stuck in them. Like, you to realize that they're that you're not really that. And one of them was like, in the beginning, it was her as a little girl getting like the trolls came, and like tore down their house, and this is like medieval kind of feeling, and they got everyone, the house burnt, the trolls ate everybody, and she's there like a little girl. So she's to move through that life, and then she comes out, and they're like, you're cleansed of your sins, and you're washed of everything. They send her back into another reality, another moment in time. And then you have to realize and when the portal shimmers, you have to go out of the portal, and you're cleansed of your sins, and you're another reality. Well, she ends up in this reality where she's older now. She has her own child, and she's like, I hear the trolls aren't far. And I hear the trolls are coming, and her husband's like, they're not coming here. They're way far away. She's like, well, they're not far enough. I worry about the trolls.
Yeah.
She keeps saying, well, I don't know about the trolls. And literally a second later, the trolls literally slam the door open.
Yeah.
And that whole same reality gets recreated with her as a child.
Right.
And then she ends up with the little girl and herself rolling out, and the portal shimmers, and she goes out. There's no little girl in her hands. It's just a memory that she has
herself.
Of herself that she has to
meet. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
And meet the trauma and move through it. So that's kind of like an example of what we're all doing. You're on loops of things that have happened, and the trauma that we've had, we recreate them because they were impactful and they hurt us. So then we recreate that, and we have to meet it again with something until we can heal it. Yeah. So you basically are getting out of your time loops. And that kind of gets into like, you're getting out of your time loops, you're picking up your pieces on the path so that you can become like a real girl and boy and be a soul and move into higher dimensional frequencies out of 3-dimensional fragmentation. The 3D field is a fragmented field. It's the field of duality. So it's literally fragmented and separated. And so everyone is picking up their separated forms and coming back into wholeness. And there's tools like these are some of those.
There's so many tools.
There's so many tools. But
I also wrote because
cool
you were talking about playing music. You know, drumming, whether you drum alone or you drum in a group, is very powerful. Whether you're playing in a band or not. And you live with, master drummer.
Yes.
And, you can feel the vibration and having been around those drum groups, it's so powerful. So, drumming, just putting drumming music on, drum yourself a little bit. You don't have to be a master or anything. You just do it.
Well, and you can learn. If you want to learn, let us know.
There you go,
because
yes.
we have classes, but it's really powerful to play patterns. It's learning patterns, really, and then resonating in vibration. And the cool thing you can think about that is it's meditation in another way because you're getting into sort of a trance experience when you have different people playing different parts at one time. You have to back to hold your own. Another great example of trying to hold your boundaries. So if you're someone who's trying to work on holding your boundaries, for instance, drumming's going to help you in that. It's going to help you with a lot of things, but that's one thing because you have to hold your part. While someone else is going whatever, right?
Totally different. It's like harmonizing with drums.
So we're all doing different things. So
at the same
time, so you're playing and you're creating an orchestra. You're creating a resonance where you lock into this pocket. That's the unified field that we talk about. Music explains all that as well. And then we literally are riding the vibrations, and those vibrations are healing you as you play. They're healing as we create together because we're co-creative and we're creating as a group. So it is a really powerful way to come together. And music, dance, these are the things I focus my life on are music, dance, and spiritual work. So it's been for me the hallmark of all things.
And we speak from experience. So you're sharing based on your experience, which I think is
love it.
Far more valuable than just something I read somewhere or I went to a class and learned about. It's you live it, and I think people can feel your enthusiasm and your passion because you know what it can do for people.
It has changed. I mean, it's done everything for me personally. I mean, it's such a rich journey for many, many years in so many ways. And so that's why I love sharing, though, these tools, and the basis of them are, it's like come to these classes, come to these things. Don't be afraid to check things out. First thing is you got to show up. So show up to what you're interested in. What's going to help you is get out there and do it.
And even if it seems like a little bit different, like I had some people coming in asking me about Singing Bowl. And you host that, and I know Leilani does it around town, and people do it in Waimea and Kona. Like, go, if you've never done it, go to a Singing Bowl event and go lay on the ground for a half an hour, or whatever it is, and let the vibration of someone else playing just kind of waft over you, and notice how you feel through that process. Does this feel like something I want to do again, or is it annoying me? Like, there isn't a right or a wrong. It's just what resonates for you, but you got to try different things.
Absolutely. So these now kind of get into some external tools that you can do with others, things you can go to, classes, resonating in classes around yoga, meditation, dance, African dance and drum if you're interested. I have a burn class if you're interested. Salsa is another really awesome way to learn about the self, divine masculine, divine feminine. I love to teach salsa, and I love to teach it that way because it's peeling away layers and we're coming into more balance within the self and learning to work together. So there's the dance. movement, sweating, and then you had some cool tools that you wanted to share around kind of some things you can use, which really kind of you started with that grounding pad that you plug in.
Yes.
That's kind of an external tool. And then you had some others.
I do. I have a whole bunch of things. So I have the pyramid at the store, and people come in and they just go and sit under the skeptics, the believers, whatever, anybody, and they'll go sit there for 5-10 minutes, and they always feel positive and they feel energy and, oh my God, that was amazing. And it's simply going and sitting under a pyramid made out of copper. And then I got this big old bowl, brass bowl, Tibetan bowl, and you stand in that, and I hit the outside, and that's another experience, is feeling that vibration come up through your whole body. And then, you want to say something?
I want to just add in the copper thing before we move from that. Copper. More of us, I'm looking into, if anyone out there is Tesla, like free energy, you're like, got some systems rolling, please email me, lavaroots@gmail.com. And copper, using the electroculture is another concept to put out into the world out there for us to be thinking of agriculturally. Utilizing copper and electromagnetism to, energize our food and also to create free energy. I know it's all, people are doing it, things are happening. I'm really not that mind, and I would love to pair up with those minds.
Learn more about it.
Really learn more about that. So I really put it out there. I think there's so much for us to explore as a community, as a society moving forward, that are new energies, new systems. And EILA is kind of starting to touch on the kind of co-creative inventiveness and exciting new energy that gets to happen as we move into these higher fields, as we move out of lower density and we start actually moving into greater harmony. We get to experience a lot more productivity and inventiveness.
And so when I was in Denver, I went to Boulder to a 2-hour session. I had done this when I was in New York 6 months ago, and then I wanted to do it again because we wound up longer in Denver because Holly got sick, and I wanted to do whatever I could to make sure I stayed healthy. So I went to a session, and I didn't think much about it till I got home, and my skin, that I've dealt with eczema since I'm 15, ups and downs, stress always aggravates it, certain foods aggravate it. Well, I was eating some of the aggravating foods when I traveled, and I tend to be stressed when I'm traveled. It's my own stress, but it's stressful. And my skin is so clear, and I just feel very strongly I attribute it to my session in this system.
Electromagnetic.
Energy system. Electromagnetic energy system created by Sandra Rose Michal, who you know.
Yes.
Because she was here 20 years ago.
Yeah, she used to live here. And actually, I trained with her for a spell as I trained as Jeannie Sunderland down at the Fairmont Spa years and years ago. I did almost a decade down there in healing work.
So she was doing that kind of energy healing work.
She was. She had one here. Our friend
and she's
had one.
very extremely smart and a physicist, and created this scalar wave technology. I don't fully understand it, but my understanding is that these machines create an environment where your cells can heal themselves. It doesn't heal anybody. It creates the energy in the space that you can heal yourself. And, I've only heard positive things about it, and I'm talking to them about, could we have it here? Could we have a place where people could come? Because
so perhaps
that's kind
EILA
of my
will be
thing.
Having that, so you're going to look out for that. Scalar
We're
wave
manifesting.
technology is really amazing, and this gets into like the possibilities of really using vibration for healing. And I'm experiencing this kind of with my own body. I feel like I'm doing scalar wave technology in some way with the vibrational frequencies I'm running through my own body and experiencing in healing sessions. It's been really amazing. But another tool, and if you're interested in learning about this one, you can shout out, is the Healy. That's also another tool that is...
what's that?
It's actually a small device. And if you want to learn more about it, I can tell you more. a small device that is a scalar wave technology that you can utilize like on
like
yourself.
localized.
Yeah. And it runs lots of programs. You can run tons and tons and tons and tons of things. I personally haven't utilized that for my own growth, but my mom loves it. And I have another healer friend who loves it. And we do, I mean, my mom is an activator or a seller of the item. So if you're interested,
Well, I remember
they're really cool.
The Rife machine was kind of done on frequencies.
That's a different situation. And I don't know as much about these things. I know our dear friend Dawn has a Rife machine. There are people who have Rife machines.
Yeah.
And
I know.
they're cool. And I don't know that much about it, but
it's just go out there and learn about it.
More tools.
Yes, more tools. And again, what works for one might not work for another. So, the more that we can have available to us, the better. Yes. Welcome back. We are here on October 11th, 2023. It's 3:49 p.m. You're listening to KRLP. 96.1 FM Kohala. This is EILA Allgood and
Michal Anna.
And so go.
Okay. So why do we want to do all those tools? We are in such an amazing, super awesome time. 10/10 was yesterday. That may mean nothing to you, or it may mean something to you. Either way, we're in an awesome time of just expansion and peeling away our layers and getting to why do we want to do all this? So we can co-create the new earth.
Yeah.
Yay! And here's the best part. It's already co-created. We already all manifested it. All of us have already done that, and we just have to walk it out. Walk it out.
So what do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is that time is not linear. We are in a multidimensional universe. Time is a location. We are here in this location and time. But the point, I told us last few years, we've all been activating and waking up and doing lots of cool things. And lots of people have been moving into greater harmony and making choices to move into greater love. And it's kind of like a tipping point. So we tip the point and we're on this opportunity is available for original organic source timeline. And that's what I myself am choosing, organic source timeline. Choosing to be on the organic source timeline where organic life, the quantum God timeline where God source energy is navigating the game in this universal time matrix. So that is about, it's like we've already done it, meaning enough of us have awakened our consciousness to see it, to breathe it, to be it, that it's already there. It's already manifest in the future timelines. We just have to walk to it as a humanity. So that's like, far away from now. It's not like, these things happen over time, generationally, as far as 3D time, like but in our form of time.
Do you think it's kind of like when somebody says, visualize the... I'll be very shallow, the house that you want. But instead of visualizing the house, you're already walking through the house. You already have the house. Like it's not in the future.
Yeah, it's already
now.
There. It's
so
already
this
there.
is already happening.
It's already happening. It's already there.
Right.
Time's multidimensional, so it's already there. And in the future, which is just a location.
Yes.
But it's already there. It's already been manifest. Because we, as a collective, have all created it already with our imaginings.
That's kind of mind-blowing for many of us.
Yeah, right? So what that means is you just get to walk your path. It's like just do the work.
Keep doing your work.
What's in front of you.
Yeah.
Like you just have to, it's just peel the layers, do the work, meet the experience, meet the opportunities, meet the test, move through your resistance. Just keep moving forward.
And don't try to not be distracted.
Keep your eye on the prize.
By the outside.
Eye on the prize.
Yeah.
Eye on the prize.
Yeah. It doesn't mean things aren't happening that are sad or upsetting, but we don't want to focus on that. We need to keep staying true to our work.
So in this co-creative process, we're going to see a lot of destruction too. There is a bifurcation. We've touched on this before, but we're bifurcating, meaning not everyone's choosing the same paths. We're all choosing different understandings, different realities, and honestly, that's something we can do. We don't have to all be in the same reality, it turns out. And so it turns out there's different realities taking place and different structures being created. And so it is really about being true to yourself and being honest with where you are and where you want to be and what you're resonating with, and then seeing the world you want to live in. Ultimately, we are co-creating an experience, but we're choosing different timelines or different experiences that we're going to embark upon next.
I want to add to your seeing the world, to feeling the world.
Yeah,
what do you want to feel?
Love.
I want to feel.
Love.
I want to feel love and acceptance and peace and joy and bliss. Yeah, and that doesn't mean that that something happens and there isn't a sadness. Yeah, there's sadness as part of that, but it's without the wounds, it's without the triggers. It's, oh, I'm sad the cat died. Okay, bye kitty, I love you. Cry, 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 but be joyful for the life the kitty gave me, you know?
Well, and we can also back to that story I was telling you about the little girl and meeting, like the trolls came and you know, you went through horror and her family died again. It was actually a loop of the same horrific story. So some of the things happening that we perceive as horrific are just our opportunity to not give it that power again. So we get to actually conquer it. Like it's a storybook. So it depends how you see your life. If you're like, but it's my life and oh my God. See, now we're taking it, we're attached. When we do that, we're back heavily in our 3D experience. When we remember we're in a storybook and that everything's happening because it's a projection and that you're experiencing these things to learn your lessons like you're in a book. So I'm meeting that thing again. This time, I'm not going to freak out. This time, I'm going to duck and run, whatever. This time, I'm going to hold my power. We're choosing new things, but you don't just get off the hook. You basically have to meet everything. It's so we don't just skip a grade. You have to do the tests. So you're doing the test, you're spiraling up. So it's the more willing we are to meet our tests and realize that we're going to see a lot of degradation. We will see destruction. In order to build an amazing garden, we have to dig everything up. Things have to be dug up. Things have to be changed for us to put new seeds and us to grow a society and a community and an earth that we all want to live in and that creates a unified field. We have to destroy that which has been and plant new seeds for that which we want to create. And we do that by peeling through and destroying that which we think we have been and being willing to recreate our own self, plant new seeds and say, I choose love. I choose a new way.
I kind of remember when you were talking, this just popped in for me, when you were talking with Alvita, that you said something and I thought it was really interesting. And tell me if I was listening to somebody else. Talking about redo versus new. Like when you have a house and you can renovate it and redo it, or you just build a new house. And I don't want to make it seem like it's an either or, but sometimes the renovating is much more laborious.
Totally more laborious.
Than creating new. But sometimes it's hard to have that creative energy or ideas for the new. But we can do it. We can create new from everywhere. Like it's not just from my head. It's like, what do you see in the new? Talk to your friends. Talk to your relatives. Talk to people who are interested in creating a new world, and just play with what would that look like? Like, what would it feel like?
And I think a lot of that is a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Because sometimes actually you have to do the remodel, and sometimes you have to start from scratch. Like you can't just scratch your family, right? You know, like you can't just scratch your partners or your whatever. Well, I mean, you could, but you know what I mean? You often, you know, your kids, whatever. So there's things you come into acceptance with.
Right.
There's a part of that acceptance and allowing everyone to be on their own journey. Everyone's not in the same place, and we all just get to allow each other the freedom to have their soul experience. But when it comes to maybe systems like, hey, maybe this thing we all thought was real and was working doesn't work at all. Like I'll throw one out, petroleum-based medicine. That was introduced in the 1900s, and before that, everybody used plant-based medicines pretty much across the board for hundreds, thousands of years. And, you know, petroleum-based medicines were introduced by a very small few with a lot of cash and created a whole system based on that. So that didn't really work, actually. It's not working. It doesn't work. And so we don't need to try and fix that system. We should just throw it out and start with a new system that's based on the things that work. based on organic life, based
Right.
on our trees, medicines, plants, herbs, food, things that are going to help us actually heal our bodies. Giving ourselves more chemicals or trying to fix a patch system, in my opinion, doesn't work. I myself don't utilize that system at all. I utilize organic life system, and my mother is my doctor because she's an iridologist and nutritionist, and so
Right.
there's an example of like on
You don't
one
have
end-
to fix that system that we know is broken. It's
Yeah.
best to
Let's just
start
scratch
fresh.
it. And
Right.
what's our fear in scratching some things, like realizing, wait, and I think that's about owning our power because,
Yes.
we think, well, oh no, but that's so-and-so, well, that they know best. Well, doesn't so-and-so know better?
Yeah.
No, they don't know better. Actually, you know better.
You know your body better.
And you know what you need. And it's
Right.
trusting yourself, trusting ourselves to know what we need. Hey, wait a minute. Let me critically think about life. Let me critically think about what is needed. Good food, clean air, water. Our water, we're almost all water. So what is this whole thing about poisoning your water? I don't want to be poisoning you. So we stop poisoning ourselves. Stop poisoning ourselves. Use organic life. So if we treat ourselves with more of the things that are going to give us life-giving experiences, the more life-giving experiences we're going to have.
Right. And one of the things I read recently was about where people are learning how to put frequencies into the body for healing. And that's kind of like, if I'm going to fantasize about a future, it's where I can either do it for myself or I go to someone who's studied it and they're putting
now. It's
frequencies.
happening now.
Right.
It's already happening. And
Right,
it's
but
gonna
more
totally
Star
happen
Trek
all
stuff
the
like
way.
that, you
We
know?
already did it too,
Yeah.
Isla. We did already do it. And it's all coming, all of it is being, basically it's not like you're learning anything, you're remembering. See, it's not a learning. It's not like we are so much more
It doesn't
advanced.
feel like a learning because
an
when
advance. We're
I
so
get
much
it,
more
it's like,
advanced.
oh, of course, it's time. We need to go.
We do.
Okay.
So there's so much to explore. We
Yes.
encourage so explore more. And if you want to check out more meditations or more tools or hear more thoughts